Thanks. So this is a little bit different than the first time I did stand-up. So this is only my second time doing stand-up ever. So if I suck, I apologize. Yeah. A new talent, I guess I'm called. But the first time was very different because when I came out on stage, about half the audience started chanting USA, USA, USA. And I mean, I felt a little uncomfortable about that because I'm Canadian. But it was a strange experience, certainly. But what's stranger is that I didn't find the joke funny. And it's because I really have a lot of trouble understanding the Scottish sense of humor and the Scottish sensibilities. And I mean, this extends to a lot of things. But most of all, I really don't understand this Scottish belligerence, right? I mean, I understand you guys have a different relationship, but to have the gall to have an independence vote to separate from England after all that England did for you, I mean, it's just shocking. Canada would never think of having an independence vote to separate from the United States. I mean, come on, this is not actually really a funny joke at all. Canada has a very, very long relationship with their evil neighbor to the south. And we despise Americans and certainly don't want to be called American. Calling a Canadian American is similar to calling a Scotsman English or an Englishman Welsh or a Welshman a sheepshagger. I mean, it's just not something that you do, not something that you do at all. I unfortunately can't keep talking about political stuff and comment on the state of the world because it actually says so in my passport. So in my passport it says I have to stick to chemistry, which is what I do here in Edinburgh at the University of Edinburgh. So I've just recently come across the water, bringing my lab in Canada over to the School of Chemistry in the University of Edinburgh. No one cheering for that. I guess they're... I know there's... Yeah, but it takes prodding. They don't actually like it. But since I came over, I've noticed that the biggest trouble I've had is in fact transporting this chemistry across the Atlantic Ocean. And this is not due to, difficulty in packaging things up. It's the fact that I have to talk and explain my chemistry to the most paranoid and suspicious people in the entire world. And this is U.S. Homeland Security, right? So I have to go through the U.S. to be able to come over here. So I'm going to tell you guys 3 stories about what I've been subjected to as a traveling chemist and the strife that plays in my life. So first thing, big, strange metal objects that chemists often carry with them. And so I had in my carry-on luggage, for a reason I'm not going to get into, an item that's called a syringe pump. Okay, so this syringe pump is a large metal box that has springs and pulleys and levers and a timer. And so, this is a bomb, right? I mean, it's not a bomb, but it's a bomb. And so, I'm traveling through and I want to be proactive, right? I'm not carrying a bomb in my luggage. So I'm going to be proactive and take it out and treat it like a laptop and put it in its own tray. Watch it go. So it's going, and before it even gets to the big scanning thingy, a guy comes over to me and points at it and goes, "What the fuck is that?" I'm paraphrasing a little bit. He came over and he said, "Sir, what the fuck is that?" But I realized that it wasn't because this is some strange metal box. It's because I had faced the front of the unit towards him. And emblazoned in a big sticker across the front, it said, "Not for use on humans." After I explained to him that during the 6-hour flight I would only use it on animals, he was fine. Let it through. Second thing that I was really worried about, was glassware. So I'm a synthetic chemist. I make things, and oftentimes we make them in ampules. And these are cylindrical shaped objects that are made of glass, and they have a rounded on the end. And I have 12 of them in a box. So this is basically a box of 12 variably sized glass dildos. And I mean, I've already had trouble with my metal box, so I'm imagining what in the world I'm going to say to the security guard about my box. And he's going to have some questions, of course. first of all, why do you need 12 of them on the flight? And why do they need to be different sizes? And why the fuck would you make it out of glass? I mean, isn't that just asking for trouble? But luckily, I get that through. Third thing. And this is a container of unknown white powder, right? So coming from the drug mecca of Eastern Canada, I was especially concerned about this. So I've got a kilogram of white powder in a container. It's unlabeled. It's got a nice little top of it on it. And, I put that through, it goes through the scanner, and it comes out on the other side, and they don't say anything to me at all. And I'm horribly disappointed. This is my unknown. I had no idea what it was. I was hoping that they would be able to tell me. But alas, I've now made it here. I've set up my lab at the University of Edinburgh. And what we actually do is we work on green plastics. So in terms of a chemistry sense, we call these things polymers. And these green polymers drive our particular research program. Now, when I talk about this to my mother, she thinks that I make green plastic cups and green plastic lawn furniture and green plastic watches and green plastic dildos. And within that construct, I have to say, well, that's not actually what we do. What we do is we work on sustainable plastics. So we work on things that are derived from renewable resources, are going to biodegrade in our environment, and can be used in a whole bunch of different applications. Now, these type of plastics have been around for a while, but what we look to do is to control the properties. And, control is an important word for me. In lab, I control my students and chain them to the lab bench and force them to work 24 hours a day. I think there's one in the audience in the back. I unlocked him because it's the weekend. But within that framework, we always also look to control the properties of the material. And two things we want to control are the melting temperature, so the temperature with this polymer material, this plastic would melt, and the degradation of this material. And the reason that we target these is because I have a long-standing hatred of lawn furniture. And I mean, this doesn't really make sense, but what I mean is that I don't want anybody at all to enjoy themselves on lawn furniture ever. And so we developed a research program to combat this. So if you think about plastic lawn furniture, where do people actually use it? Well, it's on the beach, right? And on the beach, they're enjoying themselves in the sun, and it's hot. And so what I want is to foil their sun tanning plans and have the lawn chair melt, and then they'll fall through into the sand onto their bums, right? And then the day will be mine. But I realized that this wouldn't actually solve the problem. It wouldn't ruin all markets. I mean, it never gets over 20 degrees here in Scotland, so how is that actually going to work at all? So I realized that what I needed to do is to develop a second program where I could use rainfall, and that would catalyze the degradation of the material, and then even in an environment like Edinburgh, they'd still end up on their asses in their backyard. So this is what I'm doing, really, is destroying people's fun and making the worst lawn chairs in the universe. In reality, what we do is work in a huge array of different fields, ranging from cartilage replacements to biodegradable children's clothing to biodegradable flame retardants, and a huge array of different applications. But really what I'm doing, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, is saving the world one green plastic dildo at a time. Thank you very much.